The Black and White Network proudly presents Moms Across America, a new program where women can speak their minds openly and freely without fear of reprisals. Moms Across America is about the issues of the day confronting America from the mom's point of view. And now, here are the moms.
Welcome to Moms Across America. I'm Kathleen Fitzgerald, and I
I'm
have my co Vicki Tonkin. We are going to talk today about the vaccine mandates and what the Biden administration is doing. And then we'll give you some good news about the federal court orders and stays that are fighting back. So we want to address both of those issues. And I know you, Vicki, have been doing a lot of research on that. So what have you got for us today?
Well, I was looking through just some articles and different things like that. And I ran across this article, like you were saying, some of these mandates that is coming out of the Biden administration. No, let me take that back. Not some of them, all of them that's coming through the Biden administration. First of all, we know they're unconstitutional. And as they go before judges, that is being decided that they are unconstitutional. So on this past Tuesday, they blocked the last of the Biden administration's COVID-19 vaccine mandate for businesses, saying the government exceeded its authority with a requirement that millions of employees of federal contractors be inoculated. That is a huge victory for all of us.
That's good news.
So,
well, I've been to Stand Up Michigan, and I know that they've got a document out. Everybody should go to Stand Up Michigan and find that document. That's a peer-reviewed paper about this exact issue and how they are fighting back to get OSHA and the Medicare system back in alignment with the Constitution. And here's another little ditty. I found out that the National Forest, what is it? Anyway, oh my gosh, I was going to remember this. Anyway, they're using the Forest Service, the Federal Forest Service funds to blackmail even the volunteer firefighters here in my county. The small communities are now saying, you're not going to get the federal funding. Is it the National Forest Service? Anyway, I'll get that up. But anyway, what they're saying is they've been blackmailing, just like we talked about last show. And I got confirmation from a meeting I went to that they're doing that here just in my small community. And what that means is that we're not going to have the services here. If we get a big fire, there's 2/3 of our volunteer fire department just in District 1 have walked away.
wow.
They are now saying they have to get the mandatory vaccine, and it's all about that money. So
Always. And just like we were talking earlier, Kathleen, the 10 states, I believe it's 10 states who are suing or have sued the Biden administration for trying to force that in their states. And you know what? It should not just be 10. All the states should be standing up and saying, no, this is an overstep by the government to try to tell us how we're supposed to live our lives. And that is not the place of the government ever, to tell people how to live.
agreed. I've got an article up here. Just in general, the federal judge in Georgia has blocked the vaccine mandate for federal contractors. We've got the judge in Kentucky blocked the mandate. We've got Ohio, Tennessee, federal contractors, CMS, that's Medicare, Medicaid,
Right.
private sector employees over 100 workers. So we do have people fighting back, but I can guarantee you my state, Washington State, Governor Inslee is not going to be fighting back. Neither is Governor Brown of Oregon. We've got New York, all of the liberal states are going to be standing with the Biden administration, of course.
Of course they are.
Mhm. And I just heard that Jen Psaki just yesterday, she was being asked about what do you have to say about the vaccine mandates? You know, the federal courts fighting back. And she basically said, we've got the resources, and the Biden administration, our government, is going to be fighting against the Constitution, basically, right now.
Yeah, that's basically it. And that's what's really concerning me, because you know that is the end game. The end goal is for them to totally rip the Constitution and try to take every right that we have as a nation, as a people, as an individual from us, when those individual rights were not given to us by the government. They were given to us by a sovereign. And for them to try to take those rights from us that was given to us by God, I don't even know how they can think that's okay.
And I don't understand how this Jen Psaki can stand up and legitimately say that they are going to fight for these unlawful mandates. And they're using our tax dollars. That's what I hate about it. I hate wasting money.
Yeah.
I'm sure all you moms know that money is growing on trees, and groceries are getting more and more expensive.
Yes.
And we're having stories now. A producer was telling us a story about a young boy that cannot wear a mask, and but yet he is not being allowed to travel, and he's being held back from his primary care now because of the mandates. And this is why we're fighting so hard, folks, to get this information out, because there is no law now. There is a stay. You don't have to wear your mask. You don't have to get the vaccine. You don't have to do any of these mandates because it's not legal. There's nothing in the books that says you have to do it. Now, what they're doing is they're weaponizing the employers.
Yes.
And according to Stand Up Michigan, the employers are now still upholding these illegal mandates, but they are really in for a huge backlash of lawsuits because people are going to get sick. And because I don't want to, we're not going to talk about it, but I've got the confidential Pfizer documents from December to February, just the 2.5 months of all of the adverse events, 9 pages of adverse special interest events, which is why we need to understand that there's nothing legally in place. However, from what Jen Psaki said, they have every intention on making it legal to force us to get the vaccination.
And here's the interesting part that all of us have to remember, moms. What we have to remember is it is not a law. It's an ask. Okay, that's basically what a mandate is.
Strong suggestion.
Strong suggestion, strong ask of us. And so here's the bottom line: if we don't stand up, who's going to? It's up to us to stand up and say, no, we're not going to do this anymore. It's been almost 2 years. We are no longer in emergency situation. We know what this is. They're saying that the vaccination is a cure-all. That's how they started out with this, right? That you would not get sick if you get the vaccine. Well, that has been proven to be false. They said, well, you'll have less symptoms if you get the vaccine. Well, now that's proven to be false. So I think people are starting to say, okay, wait a minute. Do you guys really know what you're doing? We don't think so. So we're going to take back our power, our individual sovereignty, and we're going to decide for ourselves. And you're not going to tell us what we have to do. If I choose not to get it, fine. If someone else chooses to get it, fine. But don't tell me that I have to do something.
I love the way that you put that, Vicki. It is just the best message that we could be giving out to moms, dads, brothers, sisters, everyone across the world and across America, because they want you to think you have to get it,
right?
The vaccination. And like I said before, just from December to February of 9 pages of really serious adverse events of special interest. And you know, they name a couple: herpes, MERS, COVID-19, organ inflammation, 9 pages. Solid.
What was that word I was having a hard time saying? Myocarditis.
Myocarditis. And
That has been happening.
that's right, folks. You want me to read a couple of these off to you? It's pretty alarming.
Well, this is the thing that I find curious too. And I said this to you earlier. If all of this is true, and if and that they're saying about the vaccine and how the mask protects us and all this kind of thing, why are you afraid to put out the data to the public? If your, if your product is so great, you don't have to lie about your product. It will prove itself. But when that product does not prove to be all you say it is, you need to let the public know that. And when they don't, they're taking lives into their own hands. In fact, I'll go so far as to say they're going to have blood on their hands. All right, we have about a minute left, Kathleen. Go ahead and wrap it up for us.
Okay, well, what I got to say is that the vaccine mandate, the Biden administration, is illegal and it's unconstitutional, and we need to stand up and fight back. And we'll just get into more of this.
Yeah.
Come back after our break. Take care.
Yeah, give us a couple of little things before we go out from that article you were telling us about, the 9-page.
Okay.
Give us a couple.
So you bet. Thank you. This is from Pfizer, confidential documents that they were forced to release. This is part of we don't want to release this for 75 years. And this is why, because after the emergency use authorization was given to Pfizer by the FDA, this is just 2 months of accumulative information, a cumulative analysis of post-authorization adverse events reports. Wow. And so what I can read off to you is just several jump below adverse events of special interest that they have listed here that they know you can get from the Pfizer vaccination. Concentric sclerosis, congenital anomaly, that could be the swelling of men's testicles, congenital bilateral perisylvian varicella infection, congestive hepatopathy, that's the kidneys, convulsion in childhood, convulsions local, convulsive threshold lowered, Combs positive hemolytic anemia.
Kathleen, those are great things. Folks, we're going to have another show where we're going to go into more detail about all of this.
Yes, we will.
Right now, we're going to take a little break and we will be right back. Thank you.
The vaccine companies tell us their products will be 95% effective. How do you know if you're in the 95 or the 5% group? Congressman Steve Lynch, who had the 2-shot regimen of a vaccine, just tested positive. You may not know which group you're in, but in either case, you need to have the strongest immune system possible. You need to get CV Acute for short-term protection and CV Defense for long-term support for a healthy immune system. Take charge of your health care. Go to empoweryourself.info to order these important supplements.
Back, everybody. I just want to give you a short little story about what's going on in my area here in Colorado. One of the things that has happened in my city is our county commissioners came out very strongly in opposition to mask mandates, as well as the vaccine or shot or whatever you want to call it, mandate very, very strongly. Two Republicans, one was on our city council, one is on our county commissioner, actually sits on the health department board here in our county. And what took place is the head of the board of health wanted to put these mandates out. But when the county commissioners and the two gentlemen on the health department board adamantly said, we're not going to do that to our people. We are not going to put them under a mandate. And it was voted, not unanimously, but it was voted to have no mandates for either the vaccine or the mask. Well, what happened is the president, she decided that she would go rogue. And she says we will have mask mandates, and that is not her place to do. So that type of thing is happening here. And here in the next week or so, there's going to be some public display of we're not going to do that. We're not going to be mandated to get a shot or to wear a mask the rest of our lives because it's not working anymore. And so that's what's happening in my neck of the woods. So maybe what's going on where you live, Kathleen, I know you shared a little bit earlier, but maybe there's something else that may be happening that you're aware of.
Well, what I've seen here in Oregon, I live in Washington State, and if people don't know, the Columbia River runs between Oregon and Washington. That's our boundary. So Oregon's right across the river from me, and that's Kate Brown. She's getting ready to make masks forever, never to have no masking. It's just going to be part of our lives. Is what she wants. Mandatory masks forever. There's no end to it. Here, we haven't done that yet. Generally, Governor Inslee and Kate Brown, they go back and forth. Sometimes they mandate and bring it all in at once. Sometimes one lags, one is a front. So we suspect that it's possible that Governor Inslee may, want us to mask up forever here in Washington State. Now, what I've been seeing is some promotion on FEMA mobile vaccination units. And they've been setting these up across the country. There was one right outside of Hood River, just, I don't know if it's still there, but they usually set them up for 3 weeks at a time. They're heavily guarded. You can't go in unless you can't go in, of course, unless you're going to go ahead and get the vaccine. And what they said was that they are, they're there for anyone basically to get the vaccine. You go in and you can get that even for the children. But when they were questioned here in Hood River, they didn't say it was for the 5 and 11-year-olds yet. They were saying it was for the 12 and up, so we've got those going on. We have people like in festivals and different things, even if they're held outside, they have mobile testing units that you have to go through if you can't show your proof of vaccination or a negative test. And so it doesn't matter if you're vaxxed or not vaxxed, you mandatory 5 and up have to wear masks during, in these places, indoor, outdoor, doesn't matter. You can get swabbed over a fence right then and there at the events, right in public. And of course, that's a violation of your health, your HIPAA rights right there. But they act like doing this thing in public, you're not supposed to notice, don't look, don't take any photos. Nothing's happening here, folks. So we've got all of that going on. We've got businesses still mandatory, mask. I haven't seen anyone say if you can't go in unless you show proof of vaccination, like if you're going to go get a cup of coffee. But we do know that you cannot go to festivals or events unless you show proof. Your your proof of vaccination status. We are forming groups locally, and I would really encourage everyone form local groups, just like we were talking about, where you go and you sit in these meetings. Nobody's been going to these meetings. Your city council, your health department, the county commissioners, form a group in your community, moms and dads and kids even, go to these meetings because they're doing things behind our backs that are not right. And it has nothing to do with our health. It has to do with you're not going to get your money if you don't do this. And so that's why they are pushing for this. But as Americans, I think we have to, like you keep saying, Vicki, and your message is clear, stand up against this tyranny. We have to now. Time.
Yes, you mentioned a couple of things that I wrote down because it just brought some things back to my remembrance. Mask forever. What in the world? So masks were supposed to, and you remember when all this started happening and they said, well, you have to wear a mask because you don't want to to infect anyone else, and you want to protect yourself and all this and that, and this is going to cut down on the outbreaks. Well, we've seen the opposite. I mean, fresh air, sunshine, that's a natural thing that we have that's good for our bodies. We should be doing that. You remember they locked us in our homes and said, don't go out, like there was some creature out there that's on the prowl. Yeah, that lasted for me about a couple of weeks. And I said, the heck with this, I'm out.
Yep.
And then here's the other thing, Kathleen, that really irks me. What about, you had mentioned the little boy that cannot wear a mask because of a health condition.
Yeah, there's people out there like that, lots of them.
Right, that will cause him all kinds of issues. My question is this. When all these quote unquote leaders are making these decisions about mask mandates and vaccine mandates, are they thinking about those people who already have issues? We had a woman here who needs a kidney transplant, found out that one of her good friends is a positive match. But because she cannot, because of her health condition, take the vaccine, every hospital in my county has refused for her to be able to have that surgery. Now, to me, when you start getting into that type of situation and the situation with this young boy, you are beginning to overstep the medical profession that has been in place for these people. When they cannot do these types of things, they're not talking about that at all. They're not talking about how it may be it could possibly be affecting at least half of America. And you're not even talking about that. I know that might be a stretch, but you know what I'm saying? In general.
Yeah, let me just add a couple of things about masks. Okay. So masks, they have studies where it reduces a child's cognitive ability to have cognitive learning by 30%. It also, they're breathing in lots of carbon dioxide, which is part of it. But the masks themselves are made in China. And they have...
No.
Yes. And so there was a lady who put a mask over some water, and she boiled the mask for just a few minutes, and then she showed us, and there was loads of hydrogel in the mask. And so hydrogel is very dangerous for people, and it's in the vaccine, it's in food, it's in a lot of stuff, and it's a fake silicone, comes from Silicon Valley, and it's not good stuff. It's part of the nanotechnology infrastructure along with the graphene oxide. So masks do not protect you from the nano-sized particles, for one thing. Now, what masks do provide is if you're doing surgery and you don't want your spittle, your moisture going into a wound, and it's a sterile environment, you can wear that mask. But it is no guarantee that it's going to filter out anything of a smaller particle. So we know that they've introduced masks way back when, like 2014 and way back in China.
Yes.
Wearing masks. And now they say, in China, wearing a mask is just part of your outfit. It's just part of your culture now. No,
yeah.
No.
So we have a couple of minutes left now, Kathleen. So that is the part that disturbs me. Why are we already talking about masks forever? Remember, this was supposed to be over with. And now all of a sudden we have to wear masks forever. I'm not wearing a mask forever. I'm just going to put that out there. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
I want to touch on one more thing that that is happening in my county, and it saddens me. They now have mobile vaccines, mobile, buses, I guess you could say, that are going around. They started around Halloween, where they're going around to vaccinate 5 to 11-year-olds.
Yeah, aren't they placing these mobile vaccine units in places of vulnerable where people gather? Yeah. You can go Halloween trick-or-treating and get your vaccine at the same time. Is that what you're saying? Yes,
that's what they're saying. And I got to tell you, that is insane to me. There is, I always, when something is pushed like this, like we see in the media, when it's really, really pushed hard, like you've got to do this and calling people names if they don't and all this kind of stuff. When I see that, I start looking for the money, honey. I start digging a little bit deeper and saying, okay, what is the motivation behind this? I've had a couple of people tell me that when their loved one passed away, that the doctors asked them if they could put COVID on their death certificate and offered them money to put it on the death certificate. So
well, sure, he can offer money because I think he gets thousands of dollars for each COVID death or something like that too. You know, next week we should get into some of the deaths because Pfizer's saying that no deaths have occurred from this vaccine.
Oh, stop it.
This confidential document, you can't see it, but it shows the deaths. And this is just for 2 months. We've got almost 10 months post this. And so,
well, as you can see, folks, we are passionate about this. We are passionate about this whole masking mandate and vaccine mandate.
Oh, hey, Vicki, let me say something. Let me say that the FBI and the National School Board Association and the Biden administration is still pushing for shutting parents down to speak out about at your school council meetings.
Yes.
And I've seen reports and seen videos of parents getting arrested because they want to shut them down. Now, don't be afraid.
And we're going to talk about that on another show as well, because we can't stop. We can't stop. Don't stop going to those meetings. You still have to be active, because if they push a little and you back away, then they're going to push more. So
and remember, if you go, I don't mean to interrupt, but if you go,
we're out of time.
Peacefully non-comply.
Yes.
Peacefully non-comply. Peacefully express yourself, because we can't get any aggression. We can't get this movement going in the wrong direction.
Right.
You, everybody, God bless you so much. Just wish the best for everybody out there.
So close us out, Miss Kathleen.
All right. Well, I'm excited to tell you that if you want to see more of Moms Across America, please join us next week. And also, if you have missed any of this video and you want to see the rest of this and see any of the other Moms Across America shows, please go to blacksandwhites.us. That's blacksandwhites.us and check us out. We love you. This is Moms Across America. We'll see you next week. God bless you.
And remember, Moms Across America, you are America. See you next time.
Vaccine companies tell us their products will be 95% effective. How do you know if you're in the 95 or the 5% group? Congressman Steve Lynch, who had the 2-shot regimen of a vaccine, just tested positive. You may not know which group you're in, but in either case, you need to have the strongest immune system possible. You need to get CV Acute for short-term protection and CV Defense for long-term support for a healthy immune system. Take charge of your health care. Go to empoweryourself.info to order these important supplements. If you are interested in reaching our vast Black and White Network audience with your products or services, then contact Hollis Media Group at 1-855-673-8635. That's 1-855-673-8635 for more information on this great opportunity.